home loan with bad credit. Can you get approved? What are the details on how to get approved and when you can get approved? I'm here with Dan Friel with Barrett Financial. My name is Philip Tyrone with Evergreen Financial Counseling. Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Philip. Thanks for having me.
Good deal. So, Evergreen Financial Counseling, we are a nonprofit committed to helping people navigate their debt problems. And we have people coming to us with debt all the time. They have late payments, some have bankruptcy, some have foreclosures. They're trying to figure out how to get rid of the debt. Some use debt negotiation companies, some file bankruptcy. But what I specifically want to talk about with people that have bad credit, how do you get home loans? Because a lot of people have loans and they want to refinance to improve their interest rate. Some people want to buy a home. And a lot of people believe in their head with bad credit, you can't get a home loan. And I'm telling them, no, that's not the case, which is why we're talking.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people think that you need a 700 credit score to get a home loan. I mean, that's really not the case anymore. And the reason is we have options for the majority of people. And the biggest thing is if you have a mortgage now, you generally don't want to have any late payments in the past 12 months. That's the
Okay.
biggest factor. Now,
Late
if
payment
you
the last
do,
12 months. Okay.
correct, 12 months, you got to be on time. That's your payments. Now, if you do, sometimes you can still work around it with the
Okay.
right letter of explanation. But 12 months, no missed payments or late payments. That's the first rule.
Hmm.
Now, second, credit scores, you don't need that crazy good of a credit score. It's
Hmm.
pretty incredible. So, my rule of thumb is if you're 580 or above, it's pretty easy to do. You can get a home loan, you can buy a home for a home purchase, you can refinance your current mortgage, whether to drop your rate or to pull cash out or to pay off debt or whatever you need that for.
Hmm.
So, 580 and above is where you want to be. Now, oddly enough, like it's hard to believe, but we can do loans all the way down to 500 credit score. Like
I
we
mean,
have a couple,
I just can't even believe. I mean, even a 580 credit score,
yeah,
you would think that that would be considered too high risk, right?
yeah,
But no, you can do 580, huh?
yeah, 580 and above, you're doing great. Your options are going to be more available with home loans. Now, I have a few in process right now that have a 553 credit score, and I got a five, I think it's in the 560s.
Hmm.
Now, those are a little bit harder to do, but you can do them under the right
Are
circumstances.
those
So
refinance or purchases?
So those are refinance,
Okay.
but you could still do a home purchase at 500 and up credit score.
And what type of down payment do you need for that?
For them, for a purchase, 10%.
Okay.
That's up to 580, but 580 and above, 3.5%.
Okay, so let's just assume because people are watching this video and they understand Evergreen Financial Counseling, they
Mhm.
understand Evergreen offers credit education, nonprofit. So everything you pay, the $20 you pay for the courses, and when you talk to the counselors, that's all tax deductible because it's a nonprofit.
Yeah.
They have courses on debt management, they have courses on budgeting, and they have courses on credit improvement, right?
Mhm.
So the credit improvement, 7 steps, 720 credit score is an easy path to raise your credit score, and it's not complicated. And frankly, to get to 620 is, I mean, you can do that in a number of months, right?
Yeah.
So if someone is watching this video and has a heart and a goal to get a home, and they
Mhm.
only have, let's just say, 3.5% down. So on a $400,000 home, you're talking $12,000, right?
Yep.
The goal is to get to a minimum of 580 credit score. And the higher you go from there, the lower the interest rate, right?
That's generally correct. Yeah. So
So
580 and above is where you want to be, but there's tiers, right? The higher your credit score is, the safer you are as a prospect, the lender to lend you their money. So the terms only get better.
so give me a difference between interest rate between 580 and 720 about. Just I know it's like is it a 1% difference, a 0.5% difference? What is that?
Well, the interesting thing is for FHA loans, it's pretty consistent above 580.
Oh, it
So
is. Okay.
you might see an eighth of a percent jump
Okay.
from a
Wow.
580 to a 700. And a good way to remember this is like FHA is not as credit focused. Now, if you look at a conventional loan, conventional starts with a C. I tell my clients that means credit. So it's much more heavy on the credit side.
Okay.
But FHA across the board, you're not going to see a world of difference. Now, if you're below 580, that's when it can be a percent difference, right? So if you're looking at a 5% interest rate, and you have a 580 credit score, and then the next day it drops below that, you might be looking at a 6%. That's where it really
Okay,
is
so
volatile.
if it's conventional financing, if it's 1%, let's just say it's a $400,000 home, right?
Hmm.
You're talking about $4,000 a year difference in interest rate, right?
Yeah.
About
Hmm.
about 4,000 a year, which is 350-ish a month or whatever. But on FHA, that eighth of percent, right?
Yep.
That eighth of percent is going to be like $50 a month difference. Like it's nothing
If
between a
that.
580 and 720. Unbelievable.
Correct.
So really, but are there fees different? Like the cost, the fees to get the loan on FHA?
The only thing you have to consider with the FHA is it has an upfront mortgage insurance premium. So that's a fancy term that says the government wants their piece of the pie. So there we have to balance that. When I have a client that has a 750 credit score and they're buying a home loan, I will present them FHA versus the conventional. FHA is usually cheaper per month because rates are a little bit better, but we have to say, okay, what's our break even point between the two? And the main difference is that upfront mortgage insurance premium. It's rolled into the loan, it's not out of pocket, but it's the only really thing to consider. That's that big difference.
Okay, and what's the cost difference on that, more or less, between for bad credit and a good credit score?
Well, it's really just if it's an FHA loan, it's probably going to be $4,000 to $5,000
Okay,
rolled
got it.
into the loan
But
amount,
it's rolled into the
finance.
loan, so you're not coming out of pocket with that.
Correct. You're not coming out of pocket. It does not affect your down payment or your cash to close.
Okay, great. Wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, I'm surprised at this. One other thing I want to bring up that you told me, down payment assistance programs. So if you
Hmm.
have a 620 credit score,
Yep.
you may qualify for a down payment assistance program where instead of coming in with 10,000 down, you may have come down in with 1,000 down. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And
We
and
do a lot of
how
down payment assistance.
and
And it's
how do you calculate what someone be approved for and how they be approved?
It depends on the down payment assistance program that's offered because there's a whole bunch of them. Every lender and bank comes out with their own every other month, it seems like. So there's endless possibilities. It's our job to find what's going to be the best fit and the cheapest option for you. Um, but the biggest thing with down payment assistance programs is the if you can negotiate with the seller to get a little bit more of like a seller credit. Let's say yeah, the purchase price for a home is 400,000
Okay.
and you can get 3% of that back towards your loan.
Hmm.
That's where down payment assistance programs really shine because there's never a free lunch here, right? So with down payment assistance programs, the rates and the costs might be a little bit higher, but then you get the seller to help fund that. And that's where the magic is, right? So you can get your total funds to close at $1,000 or less in most case, as long as that seller's willing to play ball.
Well, I mean, and if you're buying a home, $400,000 home,
Hmm.
and in your it's at 400,000 and you've gone back and forth and you're negotiating you're at the $400,000 mark. I mean, is it as easy as, okay, well, I'm going to pay 410 and give me a $10,000 credit or whatever, 3%? Is that the way that works in the real estate world?
It can. So a lot of realtors do that. My only word of advice is that home has to appraise for that sale price.
Okay.
Because if the home does not appraise, let's say it's 5,000 low, someone has to make up that difference, whether it's you or the seller, or if it's a combination of you or you split it.
Got it.
That's the biggest thing because the home loan is the value is the lower of the sale price or the appraised value. So that's the biggest thing to think about.
Good to know. Awesome. Well, good deal. So if you have any questions regarding credit, you can reach out to us. Mortgages, we're gonna get you can get you in touch with Dan. Dan, when should someone reach out to you? When they're thinking about it? Like when do you want them in the process to reach out?
Really, the my biggest recommendation to all my clients is when you think you want to buy, if just an idea in your head and you're not sure, call because a pre-approval or just initial consultation just sets that expectation. So that way you know, here's what my payment's going to be, here's our cash to close, these are my general options. Again, it doesn't cost anything. It's not an impact to your credit score, but it sets the story straight so you know what you're getting into if you choose to move forward with the home.
And they can get a copy of the credit score too, right? Report. So
Yeah.
they could see what they need to do. You can bring it to one of Evergreen's question and answer sessions when we talk about credit scoring, what you need to do. You can navigate accordingly. And this video, share this video. If you have people who want to buy a home and they've been dreaming about a home, share this video because it's possible. Like we want to bring hope to people. And that's why Evergreen, Dan, we're working together to bring hope to people. So Dan, thank you so much for the time. Anything else you want to share?
No, you pretty much covered it all, Philip. We're just here to make that difference like you guys, right? So we're gonna help you people. We want to make each loan meet every one of your needs, right? So if you have something special, give us a call. That's our whole job. And thanks again, Philip, for having me on.
Thank Dan. Talk to you soon.
All right.